Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rock Chalk Park for weekend number 2 with Col Valley FC. Tonight, the Cranes welcoming the Des Moines Menace to Lawrence, Kansas. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I am Kevin Romery, joined by Andy Edwards. And Andy, since we last saw this Col Valley team, a couple of nice wins against Winnipeg and going for 3 straight tonight against Des Moines.
Absolutely. It's exactly how you want to start a season. You want to build up a little bit of momentum, set those foundational pieces in place for what is going to be a fairly long season over the course of this summer, but it is a massive step up in terms of quality and the competition that they're going to face tonight. All due respect to Winnipeg, Des Moines Menace, one of the better, more established PDL teams in this league, and especially in the Central Division. It's going to be a big test, but if anything that we saw last week is able to be carried over to this week in some of those concepts, then they've got a chance.
All right, Des Moines comes in 2-0, Col Valley 2-1-1. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll get this game started. And back to Rock Chalk Park, just about set to go. Col Valley FC again, 2-1-1 on the season against the Des Moines Menace, 2-0-0 on the year. Quickly take a look at the starting lineups as we are underway. And this Col Valley lineup, very similar, Andy, to what we saw last week. Tato Chiapara, one of the new guys up front with Eric McWoods and Tucker Stevenson. We saw both them last week. Midfield, Logan Lucas with Christoph Urbani. Nick James added to the starting lineup, kid from Drake. And then all the defenders, Jack Freeman, Santiago Sierra, Daniel Kozma, Ryan Kellogg. Same for as last week, and then Santiago Restrepo in the goal tonight. As for the visitors from Iowa, Kino Ryusuke, remember that name. He's the PDL player of the week, right in the middle with Marcel Berry and Audi Jepson to both sides. Alejandro Covaro Bias, along with Lavelle Palmer and Omar Mohammed in the midfield, and Brandon Fricky, Biko Brennan, Nico Clausen, and Michael Pepra back there with Carlos Mercado between the pipes. Talk a little bit about what to expect tonight, and Andy pretty much nailed it last week. We've already gone way deeper in this game than the first goal we had from 7 days ago, but you pretty much hit the nail on the head with your keys to the game a week ago.
Well, it's very considerate of Col Valley FC to actually let us get the broadcast rolling here this week before they put one in the back of the net. But maintaining width, as we talked about last week, is going to be very, very important for this Col Valley team, and we're already seeing it here as they get out on the counterattack. And then could have been a foul there, could have been a free kick, but to maintain that width and stretch the field, force defenders to come out one-on-one in space without help either to the inside or to the outside is always going to be a key in this 4-3-3 system. They've got to stay connected as well. They're going to see a lot more pressure from the Des Moines Menace tonight than they saw against Winnipeg last week, and we're going to see kind of the roles reversed tonight, I think, just a little bit. Des Moines really going to try and take this game to Col Valley FC, and they have to be ready for that in those first 2 to 3 seconds after they lose possession of the ball. And then on the other side for Des Moines, they have to do exactly that. They have to take the game to Col Valley FC, and they have to not let them settle into the kind of possession style soccer that they were able to play last week against Winnipeg.
Well, a week ago, I don't remember having much wind out here, but could it be a factor tonight as we get started? Wind straight out of the south means Col Valley going into that wind. Do you think it's enough to matter this evening?
No, I don't think it is. I think the style that Col Valley FC are going to play, the ball's going to be on the ground. I think it's going to be something that's going to have very, very little effect on them, perhaps for the goalkeeper when they're playing the ball out of the back. Now, maybe we've seen a little bit from Des Moines that they want to play a little bit more direct. They want to try some long balls into the channels, and that's another big key for Des Moines tonight is to get the runners in between the center back and the fullback on both sides of the field. It's very fluid up top with the three forwards, the three attacking players, if you will, changing positions, central moving out to the right moving into the center, and keeping track of those markers for Col Valley FC going to be very, very important as well.
More than 3 minutes in now, no score. Last week we could not say that as Col Valley. Miguel Yuste, he's not in the starting lineup tonight, but he scored first last week. These two teams appear to be still feeling each other out just a little bit, but two of the best teams in the Heartland Division for sure. Both off to great starts. They've seen similar opponents. And Jack Freeman trying to keep it in play there for Col Valley. And maybe one of the first real chances now for Des Moines as Nico Clausen take it to the corner. Kid from Germany. You mentioned you recognize at least a name or two on this Des Moines Menace team.
Yeah, we're starting to see kind of an influx of players come over from Europe and go the college route and everything. It's become a very viable route into professional soccer with MLS, with USL. But there's a couple of names that are very familiar. Elvir Ibisevic, who's going to be available off the bench tonight. The cousin of Vidad Ibisevic, one of the all-time great players in the history of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The national team there. He got his first cap for his country back in January when they played the U.S. men's national team in a friendly. And then Lavelle Palmer would be the name that probably most everybody, especially from this area as Sporting Kansas City fans, would recognize. Took the 20th and final penalty kick in the 2013 MLS Cup final.
That's a lot of PKs.
The shootout at Children's Mercy Park, and hit it right off the front side of the crossbar, came right back to him as Jimmy Nielsen came off his line and his teammates sprinted to him and tackled him to the ground. That was a name that I don't think anybody expected to be hearing tonight at the age of 33 in PDL, but he's certainly going to be an influential player for this team, a leader, an extension of the coach on the field, if you will.
First shot of the game just wide off the right foot of Alejandro Covarrubias. Last touch by Col Valley, so Covarrubias will do the honors from the corner. And he'll get it in play very quickly. Col Valley maybe not quite set up yet. Howdy Jepson with it in the corner. And a nice job there clearing it out from Restrepo. So early on, 5.5 minutes gone, and this one, a very warm night. If you're watching this at home right now in the air conditioning, good news is we're in the shade.
And
all the fans are in the shade. Most of the field in the shade now, but man, if you've been outside at all in Northeast Kansas today, upper 90s, and it feels warmer.
Yeah, all the players here on the right side of the field for Col Valley FC, they drew the great assignment for at least the first part of this first half. But it's absolutely going to play a factor when you consider the schedule that this league is. These teams are forced to keep with these back-to-back games, and the weather, the fitness, the amount of time that these players have had to work together in kind of the preseason, if you will, building up to this. It's absolutely going to play a factor later on in the game, perhaps. And so we will see which is the fitter of the sides, which of the teams have a little bit more left in those final 20 or 30 minutes of the game.
Nick James They head to Lucas, now into the center. Nice job clearing, and here comes Des Moines on the run. This Menace team, a franchise that's used to success. It's been a very, very well-run program for quite some time, and not surprising that this will be one of the teams in that Heartland division that Col Valley will likely keep an eye on for most of the year.
Absolutely, and this is a team that makes a little bit of noise every 3 years or so in the U.S. Open Cup. A game against Sporting Kansas City just a couple years ago at Children's Mercy Park in the kind of the mid-rounds of that tournament. Absolutely, and they've had some names over the years as well. Some players that whether have dropped down from MLS or USL, or players that have come through this program with the Des Moines Menace and have made their way into the upper reaches of American soccer. So they have a plan, they have a structure, and they stick to it, and they've had a ton of success over the years, as you say, from an organizational standpoint, but also individually with developing those players, which at the end of the day is something we talked about a lot last week. That is absolutely the goal of this league, the development league, to continue to open pathways and doors for young players.
Omar Mohammed with it momentarily, and Menace will backtrack just a bit back towards midfield. Really have controlled most of this game so far for the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, and we're starting to see a little bit of what their game plan is. They've got 3 across the back, which is something that is it's really in style around the world. If you think about 3-man back lines, and it can play as a 5-man back line defensively. You've got the wing backs that really get forward, and they provide the width and attack, which is going to make things a little bit narrow up top with the 3 across the front. And so that's going to be a real challenge for Col Valley FC tonight to track all 3 of those guys, as I talked about earlier, how fluidly they move from central positions out wide. But they've been very patient as well, and I think that's something that's very impressive early on in the game, is to remain patient. They're looking for the quick ball over the top, and if it's not there, hold it. Keep possession, control the game.
Clausen with it for the Menace. He loses control of it, gives it right back to Col Valley FC. A week ago, Ishban Urbani's team playing its first home matches franchise history. The first took place here, a game that we televised for you, a 2-1 win against Winnipeg. And then a couple days later, playing home game number 2, but over in Topeka, also a victory against Winnipeg. It'll be the usual for this team here in season number 1. It'll be a game here at Rock Chalk Park the next 2 Friday nights, games you can see here on Midcoast Sports Network. And then they'll make the short drive over to Topeka, play home game number 2 in 16-match schedule, 8 home games, 8 road games. You kind of mentioned that this Des Moines Menace team, Andy, had played Sporting Kansas City in that U.S. Open Cup. What is the path for a team like the Menace to get there? Because I would imagine it's a little bit different than the path that Sporting KC took to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to come into those earlier rounds. The lower the level that you play at, the earlier you come into the tournament. A lot of teams come into the early qualifying rounds, not even the first round proper of the tournament. And then you've got the MLS clubs, the USL clubs, NASL when it was still in operation, that are coming in about two-thirds of the way through. Once the tournament, the majority of the total number of games that will be played have already been played.
Long ball here up ahead and just a little bit too far ahead. I think that wind, we've seen a couple of balls scoot out down the inline, and just a little too much to handle there for Des Moines. As Audi Jepson tried to track it down. Instead, it'll be Santiago Restrepo, the kid from South Carolina upstate. Recent grad, actually. What an exciting deal, though, for these kids. It's a lot of college guys going to take on an MLS team in one of those type tournament situations. I mean, on paper, you think, how does this even happen and match up? But, man, what a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that is kind of the magic, the romance of the Cup, if you will, is you can have the kind of matchups across different leagues, across different levels of experience and quality and talent and everything that goes into sports that you would never ever in any other competition, in any other sport that you would be able to see. You're not going to see the Golden State Warriors against the Kansas Jayhawks in basketball. You're just not going to get something like that. So from a matchup perspective and an opportunity, it's great. And I wish that the U.S. Open Cup got a little bit more publicity, had a little bit more notoriety, got a little bit more respect for a tournament that is as old as it is, over 100 years now.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, to say that there is no soccer culture in the United States, there's 100 years right there. You can say, well, the top division league, MLS, is only 22, 23 years old. The U.S. Open Cup has been around for more than a century, so there is history, and there have been dynasties within the U.S. Open Cup. The old days with Bethlehem Steel, and then modern day, Seattle Sounders winning 4 in a row, Sporting Kansas City winning 3 of the last 5. Teams that take that competition seriously, you get to be a champion. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one great thing about soccer is you have kind of multiple competitions going on at all times. There's a lot to play for. If your league season isn't going great, you can put all your attention, put all your eggs into that basket and go for the cup competition, and still at the end of the season finish last in the league, win that trophy. It is still a successful season.
And theoretically is the best team on U.S. soil, right? I mean, it's everybody. Kinda. I know it doesn't exactly work out that way, but on paper, it's kind of what it's trying to be.
Yeah, the fact that it's a knockout competition makes it, the verbiage that you use there best. Whether it's the team that conquered everyone else, but it's a different style of soccer to play knockout soccer, knowing that 90 minutes is going to decide whether you advance or not, versus you having 34 games in the league season. It's certainly a different way of approaching.
Few chances so far for Col Valley as we approach minute number 13. You touched on these, Andy, a little bit earlier. 13 minutes in. Take a look at the keys of the game. Anybody doing what you expected yet?
I think we're seeing a lot of what I want to see from Col Valley FC tonight being done by the Des Moines Menace. They are staying very wide with the 3 across the back. We need to see these overlaps a little bit more as we've got a chance coming here. But we need to see those overlaps from the fullbacks there, providing that little bit of extra width, and that's what's going to isolate people out wide in those wide spaces and staying connected. Col Valley FC have done a fantastic job so far in those first few seconds after losing possession of the ball. That's such an important time. That's when teams hit you on the counterattack. It's not the entire process of a counterattack. It's those couple seconds after and how you react, how you get back positionally on defense. And then for Des Moines, dictating the tempo. You already hit on it. They have had a ton of possession, I would guess probably about 65% or so far of this game, and just able to control the game and to limit the mileage that they're putting on their legs in what is a very warm evening out here. That's so important. And running the channels, we've seen it, those long balls over the top, trying to hit guys out wide. If you can get those long passes out to those wingers, then there's just a little bit less time to react for the defense, and that's, I think, where we're going to see chances coming for Des Moines.
Tucker Stevenson with the corner for Col Valley, and it's batted out of there by Carlos Mercado. Last touch, though, over here on the sideline by the Menace, so Col Valley should keep control. And really the first couple times tonight that we've seen real opportunities for the Cranes. Logan Lucas got off a shot, was deflected high, and a corner kick for Col Valley, who, again, has possession as we speak. Maybe finally finding their rhythm. Really dominated last week. Ball was in Winnipeg's end the entire time, but that has not been the case so far tonight, and quite honestly, Andy, we talked about before, we expected this to be a much different test than a week ago.
It's a completely different challenge, and that's a good thing, by the way, to not have the same kind of opponent, the same kind of game, the way that it's going to play out over 90 minutes, and have to adapt, not just from week to week and game to game, but within the game as well. As game states change, you go ahead, you go behind. The game is played different ways depending on what the state of the game is. So if we see anything like we saw last week, the maturity and the composure from Col Valley FC, then they're going to be in this for 90 minutes.
And another long ball from the Menace, and it just gets away and scoots right out of there, trying to track it down downwind. A little tricky tonight for the Menace.
Haven't found one yet, but all it takes is one.
That's all. We saw that last week. Col Valley led 2-0. Seemed very comfortable, right, for the first 88 minutes. The Cranes, they dominated this game, and then just like that, one simple goal on a spot that we did not even expect a shot to come from somehow gets through about 10 people and goes into the back of the net. man, this thing changed and hurt.
Absolutely, and that put a little bit of wind into the sails of Winnipeg, and those final 5 or so minutes, including stoppage time, it was all Winnipeg, and so it was kind of holding on for dear life, batting down the hatches for Col Valley FC, and to their credit, they were able to do that. They were able to see out that 2-1 scoreline to the final score and get their 3 points, which were hugely deserved. The fact they had given up just 1 shot on target for those first 88 minutes, as you say, they were justly rewarded. But it reminds you, in the game of soccer, it is a 90-minute game, and it requires focus from minute 1 to minute 90, and that's something that the very, very best teams at the highest levels, that is the first thing that they will tell you. You can have talent, you can have work ethic, you can have fitness, you can have all of those things, but if you don't have the focus from minute 1 to minute 90, the first whistle to the final whistle, then you're not going to be a successful team.
Col Valley trying to keep it in place. Stevenson cannot do it, so back to the Menace. Short trip down from Des Moines, a little longer last week for Winnipeg.
Just a bit.
That's the far northern point in this division. Winnipeg's got a lot of long trips on its schedule.
I do not envy them.
Yeah, a little bit easier for these two teams to match up. So far, though, we are scoreless. 17 minutes in. Menace, though, on the attack. Fricky trying to send one out wide and just out of the reach. On the sideline, Michael Pepra.
Nice little skill check there.
Yeah. Right through the wickets. Logan Lucas. Send it opposite side. Menace, though, doing a nice job of really countering any kind of attack that Col Valley's trying to put forward to get across midfield. And while they've controlled the ball, not really many chances to score, though.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about last week was not having possession for possession's sake, but having meaningful possession, creating chances, being dangerous with that possession, and it's been a good soccer game so far tonight, these first 18 minutes or so. But we've not really seen much of that. I think what a lot of what these two teams are trying to do tonight is kind of canceling each other out. And it's not that either team is playing poorly, but they are both very, very disciplined, and I think still in the feeling out stages of this game tonight.
Ryusuke brings it up for the Menace, but it's taken away by Stevenson.
But that's something you love to see right there. Tucker Stevenson getting 40, 50 yards back up the field to help out the right back on his side of the field defensively. He was overloaded there, 2-on-1. It's exactly what Des Moines wants to do. They want to play that numbers game, and to get back and make that effort as an attacking player, one, your defender behind you is really going to appreciate it. But Istvan Urbani is going to appreciate it more than anyone, the hard-nosed kind of player and coach that he was and is.
So a quick opportunity there momentarily for Col Valley. Eric McWoods running the length. Couldn't quite win the race to the ball. And back to the Menace. Carlos Mercado is your goalkeeper this evening. He's handled it quite a bit back there. And he'll handle it again. Going with the Baylor Bears highlighter uniforms.
I was thinking what I was going to say there. If the lights go out, him and the ball boys will be the only ones we can see tonight.
That's it. Restrepo's wearing the bright orange, but Mercado's got on the highlighter yellow, which, again, from these parts, Baylor Bears basketball unis. Here's a shot from the left foot of Omar Mohammed. It's just wide.
That's exactly what Des Moines want to do there. They want to get the ball towards the top of the 18-yard box, hold it up, and you see here occupying 2-3 defenders and then just able to lay it off into space where that space opens up as everybody reacts to that first ball into the penalty area. It's the second ball that becomes so important, who it falls to, and then how you get back positionally. And we saw a giant hole in front of the back line open up there, kind of in between the lines, the midfield line and the defensive line for Col Valley FC. And they're very lucky right there that Omar Mohammed not able to put that on target, because I do not believe that Santiago Restrepo was getting to that if it's just inside the far post.
Col Valley with it again, Urbani. Switch sides with it. Col Valley will attack now up the middle. Here's Lucas. Back to Urbani. Going right side to Nick James. Maybe a chance here. McWoods attacking. Can he turn the corner? The answer is no. And not many chances in front of the net so far for Col Valley. Everything's been very deep down the sides.
Yeah, and that's where kind of Des Moines want to funnel everything for Col Valley. If they're going to play wide, then they're going to force Eric McWoods there as the number 9, the lone guy up top. They're going to force him a little bit wider if he's going to get onto the ball, and that's something that having that 3-man back line does. It just changes the angles of where that space is.
This is Michael Pepra trying to put on a move. Gets there, gets a shot, at least towards the goal momentarily. Last touch, though, by, well, he may have been the last one to touch it.
Unfortunate there, because that was some great individual work to take on 2 defenders, head on into the penalty area, and create just a little bit of space for himself. Not able to probably hit the ball into the 6-yard box when he should have. Probably should have been a touch earlier. Don't give that defender that extra half second to get over and recover and close you down. But you can see the intent there once again, trying to get into those wide areas.
And credit Nick James, kid from Drake, on the defense that time. Menace still trying to attack. Minute number 23. And Col Valley just trying to move it forward. Eric McWoods a couple of steps, tapped away, and Michael Pepra with it once again. Keep in mind he's listed as one of those defenders. He's back there, but he's been playing way up, mostly because his team has had the ball way up.
I think you'd like to see a little bit more pressure right now from Col Valley FC. If Des Moines are going to slowly pass it around the back and try and build out like that, take them out of it. Don't let them do that.
And a chance here. Menace, a shot. That one deflected. Out of play, and that's Somar Mohammed again. He's been active. Number 10, but this one will go back to Col Valley.
He's cutting in off of that right side, getting onto his left foot, and as you say, twice in the last 2 or 3 minutes, he's had opportunities, but well outside the penalty area. And I think those are chances that Col Valley FC, if they have to give up chances, they have to give up shots. You can try and shoot from 25 yards all day, and they're going to be pretty happy with the results 9 times out of 10. But it's that one chance that if you don't close down, if you don't make that chance just a little bit more difficult, a player with quality, he will make you pay for it.
And here's Muhammad again. Sends it out wide. A chance here for the Menace. There's a bullet right into the back of the net, and it's Kino Ryusuke. No surprise there. The PDL Player of the Week, his first real opportunity, Andy, and he cashes it in.
You know, a player in goal-scoring form, kind of a purple patch of form, if you will, the Ryusuke is in after the last couple of weeks. It does take just that one opportunity, and even though the first 23 minutes of this game, he didn't really find his footing, he couldn't find the ball, it takes that one moment, get on the ball inside the penalty area, and he had every intention of cutting inside onto his right foot. He was just setting up the defender, get him leaning one way just a little bit, cuts back inside, and fires inside that near post. That is a confident striker right there. Not only the way that he took his opportunity and found the back of the net, but the way that he set it up.
Quick shot there of Ishvan Urbani. See if he can come up with a counter now. Col Valley for the first time in its history trailing at home. And a quick whistle, which will go the way of Ryusuke. Started obviously from Japan, but started his career at the junior college level, heading to Louisville next year. I think they found them a good one.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, I talked about earlier a little bit, opening up new pathways for professional players in this country. We've seen an influx of foreign players, typically from Europe. Obviously, Ryusuke coming from Asia. Dom Dwyer being probably the poster boy for players that have come over from Europe. He obviously comes from England, the Norwich City Academy, and ends up at USF. And then gets drafted by Sporting Kansas City. Goes on to become a U.S. men's national team international player, now with Orlando City SC. It's just another way for players to break into the game. He could have easily stayed in England and played in the 4th or 5th division and tried to work his way up, but there is a belief that once you drop down to those levels, it's because you're not good enough, and you can never develop to be good enough to play at those higher levels. And there's not that same kind of connotation here in American soccer, at least not as of yet. And so it just opens up that new pathway. And Louisville, I mean, you know, head coach is obviously going to be keeping an eye on Ryusuke this summer as he plays for Des Moines. In these first 3 weeks, he's going to be mighty happy with what he's seen.
Maybe a steal for that program. I mean, already the PDL player of the week, and as we mentioned, how many PDL teams are there?
A lot.
Like 75 or something. There's a lot of people to choose from, but he's the guy, and he may be the player of the week this next week. He's off to a great start. If you're a Col Valley fan, then you're hoping that's not the case. But what a great start tonight for him, and as advertised of what we had seen and what we had heard coming into tonight.
But to Col Valley FC's credit, he has had just one opportunity to really get on the ball and do something meaningful in this game. And to his credit, he did. He found the back of the net. But I think if you're looking at in terms of how they have limited his touches, his opportunities, and his looks at goal, they've done a fantastic job so far. There's been 2 players, defensive midfielder, center back around him at all times, and he's been starved for service in and around the penalty area. So on one hand, great job limiting the opportunities, but a player of that quality, again, it does take just one.
Just one shot on goal tonight combined between the two teams, and that's the one that found the back of the net. 1-0 game, Menace on top. Omar Mohammed, he's had some chances tonight. No official shots on goal, but he's had a couple of looks. He's been very active.
Extremely skillful player. You can see it every time he gets on the ball and he looks to run at defenders. He's not just running at them, trying to run around him, but the little quick touches into space, out of space, the way he sets defenders up, leaning one way to go the other way. He is absolutely, along with Ryusuke, 2 players that you have to keep an eye on. You have to know where they're at all times, and you have to have a body around.
Bodies flying. As Nick James, dangerous run that takes down Michael Pepra. No whistles, though. Pepra stays on the ground. James already up. He's got possession. Pepra remains down. Col Valley operating a man up, and they're going to come check out Pepra and see what the problem is here.
That was quite a collision right down here just in front of us, and somewhat shockingly not called a foul there on Nick James, and not to say that he went in with the intent of cutting Pepra down, of trying to injure the opponent, but plenty of contact there, and I think that the referee, at the end of the day, has a job to do, and it's not just to call the game, but it's also to protect the safety and well-being of players. Just going in a little bit reckless there, and then there's nothing malicious, there's nothing too dangerous about it, but you're responsible for your body and who you make contact and in what ways.
Well, Alan Marcina's team saw their reaction immediately after the collision, and you saw Pepper go down. Arms in the air, they thought there would be a whistle, but didn't get one. No harm, no foul. A little harm maybe. No foul.
It is good to see him back up and into the game immediately, though.
Minute number 30 of this one, and a dangerous player. Ryusuke in on that ball quickly. Restrepo able to send it away, and maybe a counterattack here. Eric McWoods, he's going to get there in plenty of time. Leaves it behind. A tap there from Tucker Stevenson just wide. I think he wanted that to be more of a shot, but just mishit it.
Well, here on the one end, that's called a hospital ball. You leave your goalkeeper hanging out to dry. He comes out, and credit to Restrepo cleaning up the mess there. But that shows exactly right there how to run a counterattack, just how quickly you can get out and you can spring things going the other direction, the long ball over the top. The only problem that I see there for Col Valley FC is that it has to be Eric Woods going out wide into that space. And then once he gets on the ball, nobody in the center. So he's got to hold it up. He's got to wait for somebody to arrive. But as we look at the goal there from Ryusuke, no help needed. Took it all by himself, created the chance, scored the chance on his own.
Chiaparo with it, trying to send a cross in, and Col Valley gets ahead on it, but it's just wide from Santiago Sierra.
I think Eric McWoods was hoping that that Sierra would let it run and he would get the opportunity a little bit more central, right about the penalty spot, 12 yards out. Probably a little bit better opportunity of actually directing that one on goal. But anytime that you can get one of your bigger bodies there into the penalty area and you can get quality service into the box, that's another very, very important thing. It's not just putting the ball into the penalty area for the sake of doing so, but picking your head up, picking out that target, and finding your man there in those danger areas. That's how you score.
And a nice cross from Chiaparo. More opportunities like that is exactly what Ishvan Urbani is looking for. Meanwhile, Menace trying to counter already on top. It's 1-0. 32nd minute from Rock Chalk Park. Home game number 3 for Col Valley FC.
The long ball's on to the right. Not able to find it.
Didn't get it there. Instead, Menace at least slowing down the attack from Col Valley. And the Cranes will have to start over.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow in the recognition there, that long diagonal, and admittedly it's a tough ball to hit 45, 50 yards diagonally across the field. But you've got someone out in space like that, able to then completely change the angle of attack. If you've got that ball, you've got to be able to recognize it. You've got to be able to hit it a little bit quicker.
Mentioned we do have the soccer atmosphere tonight. Fans from Des Moines cranking up the drums. Joked earlier we got the mini cauldron out here, right? Got the Cheetos on the front, the come and go on the back, and the mini cauldron in the corner. Des Moines comes prepared. But you can tell, again, an established team that's got some fans. And, I mean, they're traveling. They weren't sticking around this weekend. McWoods trying to battle for it. Holds his hands up as he goes to the turf. Kovarabias comes away with it. And the Menace once again on the attack. A warm night at Rock Chalk Park, but a windy one too. Sun pretty much entirely off the field now, but it's the beauty of these summer days in Kansas. Maybe hot during the day, but usually pretty darn nice in the evenings. We've lucked out with 2 great ones so far in the early season for Col Valley. A little misplay there and a nice clear from Daniel Kozma. And the Menace again, starting over. Pepra, he looks okay. Sends it ahead to Jepson, who can't get there. And a nice job by Kozma to protect the ball, let it roll out of bounds, and give his goalie Restrepo an opportunity here.
Yeah, just really good patience from Des Moines there. Not looking to see what's in front of them, what's given to them, and playing the game that way instead of trying to force things. If you're going to play a little bit deeper, then they'll advance the ball slowly up the field, and they'll wait for one of those pressing triggers. You know, a ball played wide into a certain space or to a certain player, and then that will trigger. Fullback has to go forward, central midfielder has to go forward and has to press the ball, and then that's going to open up a little bit of space for that next ball for Des Moines, and they're taking everything that's being put in front of them, taking the game second by second, pass by pass, and not forcing anything, and that's why they've committed so few mistakes so far tonight.
Ryan Kellogg with it out wide. Gets a little shove from Pepra, keeps it in play. There's the cross, nobody home. Tucker Stevenson trying to gain possession. He wanted a whistle, raised his hand. Instead, he just needs to keep on playing. For a minute, looked like Ryusuke might have a chance to do something with it at midfield, but couldn't quite control it. Now Kellogg will reset for Col Valley. '35th minute, still a 1-0 game. If you're head coach Ishban Urbani right now, Andy, are you happy getting to the halftime break down 1-0?
Yeah, I think you are. I think you're on pretty much level footing with Des Moines in terms of how the game has played out. Obviously, the one clear-cut opportunity for Ryusuke being the difference in this game. I think you just want to see a little bit more movement from this team, though, especially when you're in possession. You get into the attacking half of the field. It's not that they're standing around, but I think they're making it pretty easy for Des Moines to mark up man-to-man and to really get into those passing lanes. You need to see Eric McWoods drop in just a little bit deeper. Tucker Stevenson and then can tuck inside, and he can fill the space that is then vacated by the center back that steps up with McWoods. It's just trying to pull defenders into different areas and open up space for somebody then to come in behind and to fill it. We've not seen a lot of that tonight, and it's one of the things that they did so well last week against Winnipeg, and it's why they had so many scoring opportunities that night.
Well, a great defensive play from Nick James, but then he gives it right back. Ryusuke knocked to the ground. He stops playing, and back on his feet, Nick James. There's the whistle. This will go to Col Valley, though, but this will have to restart back where looked like Ryusuke went down. Get a little physical out there. A little early to be chippy, but we're kind of heading that direction right now.
Yeah, but credit to the referee there. It's a clear non-call there, and it shouldn't have been a foul in the first place. And Ryusuke thought he had earned a foul and a free kick for his team, but to then just kind of sit and try and cover up the ball and then impede play as it's going forward, it's absolutely the right call. And it is one thing that I think in soccer there's a little bit too much of, is you don't get your call, complaining to the referee and trying to slow down the restart of play. Very, very good piece of refereeing right there.
Here's McWoods. Couple of minutes, though, right there with him. Trying to back up and create some space. Leaves it behind for Chiaparo. Touch back to McWoods, trying to keep it in. Urbani now sends it right side. This is Nick James in the corner. See if Col Valley gets a look here. Back to Chiaparo. Little tap inside, back to Urbani, and last touch by. It's like the Menace, so a corner kick coming for Col Valley, and well, this sets up everything you wanted, right?
There's a little bit of that movement right there, and it was Urbani with that diagonal ball out to the wings to Nick James that kind of sprung everything and set everything in motion. You've got the fullback having to recover, and pieces just start moving everywhere.
Chiaparo trying to keep it in. Instead, we're going to run out the opposite direction. Long ball, a little mishandled there by Omar Mohammed. And that should give Col Valley plenty of time to try to regroup. And with 9 of the 11 starters, the same as last Friday. Obviously, this team with a 2-1 result last week, the win. I got to believe that Ishvan Urbani liked what he saw, though, from most of this group.
Yeah, there was a ton of things to like last week, and the way that they controlled the game through possession, and they were so disciplined in the handful of moments that they had to rotate back defensively. But the movement, the fluidity, and everything that we saw in attack from this Col Valley FC team last week, I think is very, very promising, especially for how early in the season it is, especially for how short the preseason it is. But as we said earlier, this is just a whole nother level of competition that they're coming up against tonight.
Eric McWoods in the corner. Michael Pepra trying to stay with him right there, and he did momentarily. Take a second look. Little extracurriculars going on there. So there's no contact in soccer, right?
Which looks like some good jockeying, playing, positioning for the ball right there to me. But you've got to see a little bit more danger from another set piece here, all the way down in the corner. The last one, set pieces, corner kicks, free kicks, it doesn't matter. Shouldn't end up in counterattacking chances going the other direction. And so you've got to get the ball into the penalty area. You've got to find one of those big targets, and you've got to make something of this on this end of the field.
Substitution for Des Moines, number 16, Wilfred Williams.
Our first substitution of this game, number 16, Wilfred Williams checks in from Monrovia, Liberia, the capital, and Michael Pepra, we've talked so much about, and a little banged up maybe, he will exit the game.
He didn't seem to be, carrying an injury or anything afterwards, but you imagine the way that he fell, that there could be a little bit of lingering something going on.
Maybe the best chance of the night right there from Col Valley.
Yeah, decent ball into the box, but so far beyond the far post. Really the only hope at that point is you're going to head it back into kind of that central area and then hope that it falls to somebody. So positive improvement from the last set piece.
Closing in on the final 5 minutes of this first half. That ball will stay with the Menace. A 1-0 game, Des Moines on top. Goal from Kino Ryusuke. It's the only shot on goal of the night that we've had so far from Des Moines. A couple of quick touches there, give it back to Col Valley. Feel like this match this week, Andy, from what we saw last week, a little different pace? Or is it similar?
No, I think it is a little bit different. Des Moines going to be a little bit more methodical in the build-up and not looking to do everything on the counterattack the way that Winnipeg did. How deeply they sat in, it was never going to be about that slow build-up for them. It was always going to be the one long ball over the top, try and get back in behind the Col Valley FC back line. And so we've seen Col Valley have to be just a little bit more patient tonight. And I think that they have. The balance between being patient and playing slowly, those are two very, very different things, and I think they've fallen into the trap of playing a little bit too slowly tonight, whether it be in transitioning from defense to attack or attack to defense. We've not seen them be quite as sharp either tonight, and a lot of that credit, a lot of the credit for that has to go Des Moines' way, the way that they have, they've really dictated the tempo and they've forced their game upon Col Valley FC.
Nick James with that long run. Last touch by Williams, who just checked in. And now a chance, Eric McWoods. Let's see if we can go to work. Sends it out wide, Chiaparo. Needs some help, though. McWoods is the only one in front of the goal. As we speak, finally some help comes. Col Valley taking its time. Crane is trying to set something up. Lead goal here would be just what the doctor ordered.
And it wouldn't be totally undeserved either. It's been a pretty 50-50 game in terms of where the game has been played. A lot of it in the middle third of the field, a handful of advances into the attacking third and into the penalty area for both sides. Just that one moment of quality from Ryusuke being the difference.
Chiaparo again, operating against Williams. Sends one across, running in. No one able to get there in time. Jack Freeman had the best chance at it, but just couldn't come away with it.
That's exactly what you want to see from Chiaparo, though. He had two opportunities there within about 30 seconds of one another to go one-on-one, run at his defender. The first time, very slow and indecisive. Didn't really make up his mind what he wanted to do. The second time, quick. First touch right at him, second touch right at him, and then setting up that left foot for the ball into the box. It wasn't the best ball, but the idea, the intent is there that I'm going to get on the defender as quickly as I possibly can, and I'm going to try and make something of this moment, and a decent chance.
Ryusuke with it. Taps it back. Omar Muhammad, another blast, and this one off target.
You can tell his left foot is his favored stronger foot. The way that every time, the touch to set it up, always to the right, so that he creates that little half yard, not even a half yard, just a few inches of space, an opening that he can get a shot off with that left foot. And if he continues to take those shots from 20, 25, even almost out to 30 yards.
We've seen several so far tonight.
Yes, we have, and I think you're pretty happy with those opportunities if that's kind of where you're funneling everything towards defensively for Col Valley FC.
Wrapping up minute 44. Is that onside? A chance? Nope, not going to be there. Mercado will get there just in time. A streaking Nick James. Had the flag been raised? Or was he okay?
I think he was going to be onside there, but to drop into the space right there, hold the ball up, and then quickly look for that diagonal ball out wide. You need more of that. You need more decisiveness. You need the quicker interplay, especially on the counterattack, and that's very encouraging.
Menace, little 2-on-1 maybe here on this left side. Couple of moves. Ball is in front again, and guess who? Number 24, Kino Ryusuke, scores again.
Goal for Des Moines, number 24, Ryusuke.
Just demoralizing for Col Valley FC right now to have dealt with the first and the second opportunity as the ball advanced into the penalty area, to show defensively right there you've got help coming from behind, shoulder to shoulder, and then seemingly to have recovered the ball. Somebody, looks like Omar Muhammad, pokes it out, and it just falls to the only player on the field that you really don't want to see it fall to his feet in that part of the field, Ryusuke. Just very, very unfortunate for Col Valley FC to right before halftime, you're so close to getting in with just the 1-goal deficit. You're on pretty even footing at that point, and then boom, just like that.
Sometimes it seems like ball just rolls to the guy in the right place, but often when it's a guy like Kino Ryusuke, there's a reason he's always in the right place at the right time. Those guys just have the knack.
Yep.
That even if you think, well, that was just kind of a wrong bounce, that ball wasn't supposed to be there, well, guess what? A guy like Ryusuke will make you pay every time.
Being in the right place isn't luck, it's a skill. It really is for a player to have those kind of instincts in and around the penalty area, to be able to see the game and the play develop as it's happening, before it's happening, and know where he needs to be, how the play is going to develop. That's a skill, 100%, and that's a sign of a smart soccer player.
And that'll do it for half number one. And a half that dominated by the Des Moines Menace. 2 goals from Kino Ryusuke, one coming right at the end of the first time. Just an absolute killer for Col Valley, as Ishvan Urbanya will head to the locker room and try to figure a couple things out as we'll switch ends. Maybe a little advantage getting the wind in the second half. We'll see if Col Valley can turn things around. Not many chances, Andy, for the home team. Just a couple, unable to catch them in. But on the other side, the Menace only with a couple. They have been able to cash them in.
Yeah, and that's the difference right there, is being clinical with those opportunities. The final 10 or 15 minutes of the half, the best period of play in this game for Col Valley FC. It's a shame that they were not able to translate that into a goal, or even a quality scoring chance, and then just a series of half mistakes that all add up with the ball falling to Ryusuke in that place.
Time out on the field. Let's take 1-2. It is halftime in Rock-Chalk Park. The Des Moines Menace leads Col Valley FC. It's 2-0. Back at a windy and warm Rock-Chalk Park, halftime between Col Valley FC and the Des Moines Menace. So far in the first 45, all Menace and mostly Kino Ryusuke. Take a look at the Pods Discount Carpets halftime update stats, and there you see it, the 2-0 game. Really not a ton as far as shots on goal. We haven't seen a ton of action, great saves, but when we have had the shots, at least on one end, we've gotten a couple of goals.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the fact that you get that quality and the connection in and around the penalty area has been the biggest difference between these teams. Time spent in the attacking third of the field about even in this game, but it's just with just that space that Des Moines has been able to find right at the top of the penalty area, which then triggers those dominoes into the penalty area, and that's where both of their chances tonight have come from. It has been just 2 chances for Des Moines tonight, so I think from that perspective, you're very encouraged if you're Istvan Urbani and the entire Col Valley FC team. But at the same time, you've got to see more at the other end of the field, and you've got to find a way back into this game. And at least based on the first 45 minutes, I don't see where those chances are coming from without a little bit of a tweak tactically. I think they need to get a little bit more of that movement that we talked about, and you've got to fill that space in between the back line and the midfield, especially with 3 in the back for Des Moines. You've got to be able to pull one of those center backs out that then opens up space for somebody else to run into.
Taking a look at those numbers, Andy, across the board, we don't really describe a 2-0 game, but that's exactly what we have. I feel like there should be 1-0 or no score.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. The fact that you've limited Des Moines to just 2 quality chances, a good defensive performance so far from Col Valley FC. Just so happens that Kino Ryusuke is probably in the best scoring form, finishing form of his entire life, and you come up against him on a night where everything that he touches seems to turn to gold. So again, I think you're encouraged with some of the foundational pieces, the building blocks if you're Col Valley FC. But at the same time, Istvan Urbani going to expect a ton more from his team in the second half to try to get back into this one.
You know, the Premier Development League Player of the Week looking to go back-to-back, and what a dynamite first half. He scores not once but twice, and right now the Des Moines Menace leading Col Valley FC. It's 2-0. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll take a look at the action from half number 1, including those 2 goals from the kid from Japan. Wind still whipping here in Lawrence, Kansas, and that should be good news for Col Valley FC in half number 2. We'll see how big of a factor it is for them. It appeared to certainly benefit the Des Moines Menace in half number 1, in particular Kino Ryusuke. Only 2 shots on goal as a team, both from him and both finding the back of the net. Let's, Sandy, take a look at some of the action from half number 1. Not many chances for Col Valley FC. And Eric McWoods trying to make some plays with Tucker Stevenson, and Tucker was so great last week, but just not many opportunities tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned the Tucker last week, the star of the game for Col Valley FC, and we've just not seen the same kind of impact, the involvement from him tonight. And I think the thing that he did so well last week was getting into that space between the back line and the midfield, playing almost as a second forward alongside Eric McWoods. Not a winger, not an inside forward out wide, but almost a second forward where it was combination play between those two. And so far tonight, night, it's just been Eric McWoods all on his own up there. He's had no service when he's had no help when he's been on the ball. He's had no service when he's making those runs in. So you just need to see a little bit more of the interplay, I think, between those two.
See there, Ryusuke scoring his second goal, just quicker to the ball, and that one coming may have actually not just the last minute of the first half, maybe into penalty time, going in injury time, going into the halftime break, which is just a kicker. You take a look at the scoreboard, you think you're close, you're feeling pretty good, I think, if you're Ishvan or Banyu going in down 1-0, but instead, bang, you look up, it's 2-0, and man, the mountain to climb now looks awfully big.
Yeah, it took Col Valley FC 25 or 30 minutes, I think, to really find their footing and find the speed of the game. While the pace of play is a little bit slower, the speed of the individual moments against a team with a little bit more quality like Des Moines as compared to Winnipeg last week is going to be a little bit higher. And to find their footing, it took them a little bit of time, but they did. And then you saw a handful of chances that they're able to create, getting the ball out wide, Eric McWoods dropping in, and then whether it was Tucker Stevenson or Tato Chiaparo on the other side, just able to feed the ball out into space and then open things up a little bit. But at the same time, you've then got to commit numbers forward from the center of midfield, and against a team like Des Moines that's so solid, so disciplined, so defensive in the middle of the field, that's very, very dangerous because they're going to have a couple guys hanging out, Ryusuke being one of them, and Omar Muhammad, who's been very, very dangerous cutting in from that right side. They're going to hit you on the counterattack. So it's about finding that balance between, we've got to commit more numbers forward if we're going to create scoring chances, but we've also got to be solid and have that solidity in the back defensively so that we don't fall behind 2-0, which they did, and potentially, as we look forward to the second half, 3-0 and 4-0.
Ishban Banyi and Alan Marcina talking it over with their teams as we speak. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll head to half number 2. Col Valley has some ground to make up. Menace on top at the half. It's 2-0. Start of the second half. Meanwhile, this game in the early going has been dominated by Nino Ryusuke, the kid that's heading to Louisville, the reigning Premier Development League Player of the Week. Maybe the early favorite for this week's Player of the Week. We hope that changes here in the second half. But Andy, a couple of goals in that first half, and we make mention that, sometimes you're just lucky and the ball falls in your lap, but then the great ones, they're lucky because they're always in the right place Certainly Ryusuke here seems to have that knack, doesn't he?
It's nice to win one Player of the Week award. It's nice to perhaps have the next week's wrapped up at halftime of the next.
Don't say it. Long way to go.
No, of course. And then there's a way back into this game for Col Valley FC. But I think the thing that I like about Kino Ryusuke's game and having watched him kind of right here in front of us for the first half is he's a very complete player as a forward. He's not one of those guys that's going to hang on the shoulder of the last defender and try and beat the offside trap and get in one-on-one with the goalkeeper and rely on service coming from midfield or from the wingers out wide to cross the ball into the box, but he's capable of creating his own chances for himself. And then once he does that, obviously very, very clinical in front of goal. That's a well-rounded player who not just technically and physically has the gift, but has the mental side of the game, the vision, the creativity to create those chances for himself. And that's what we saw in the first one when he was able to cut inside from the left and then hammer it inside the near post. And then the second one, just the smarts and the feel for the game, the instincts more than anything, when to arrive to the top of the 6-yard box, when that ball is going to kind of bleed across the top of the 6, and boom, he's the guy that pops up in the right moment at the right time. It's not a coincidence. It's not luck. It is a skill, and it's something that he as a very complete attacking player, complete forward, has maybe not mastered, but he has really, really refined. And the program at Louisville, oh man, they are getting a dandy coming in.
Yeah, and if they're watching back on the internet in Hyogo, Japan, I bet they're celebrating right now. A long way for that guy, but certainly paying off so far as both teams and officials coming back out for half number 2, and we'll see what adjustments possibly that Istvan Urbani can make. And as you mentioned, the wind at times, I mean, it's blowing pretty good. And we'll see if that was a factor and will be a factor here in the second half as you get a look at the MVP of this game so far. And Kino Ryusuke. It's been really good. His team all smiles right now. Very international flavor on this Des Moines team. Kids from Ireland, from England, from Somalia, from Ghana, Jamaica, Liberia. Another one from England. We obviously got Japan, England, Ghana. Then you got a kid, of course, from Lee Summit, Missouri. We've got a few local kids here on this Col Valley team, but a very international flavor. And speaking of international flavor, Istvan Urbani from Hungary. And already a substitution for Col Valley FC.
Number 7, John Weissman. Number 8, Miguel Yuste.
And a couple of guys we saw play last week back into the game right away. Andy will talk about it. Miguel Yuste, he scored the first goal a week ago. He's into the lineup for the first time. And then also last week, he didn't start, but we did see him come off the bench. And Leisman, he'll check in immediately here at halftime.
Yeah, I think Miguel Yuste is the big one there, bringing him in for just a little bit more control in the middle third of the field, a little bit more possession, a little bit more creativity, the range of passing there for Miguel Yuste as we saw last week against Winnipeg. Obviously, that's going to be very, very important as we start the second half and Col Valley FC try to overcome this 2-goal deficit at halftime. And I think that is 100% the right move from Istvan Urbani. A little bit more control, dictating the tempo of this game just a little bit more. You would imagine you see Des Moines sit back just a tiny bit in the second half as they look to consolidate and protect that 2-goal lead that they worked very, very hard to build up in the first half. And Yuste, when you've got to unlock that defense, when you've got to pick that very, very complicated lock, he's the type of player that you need to do it.
Those are the guys in. Quickly to you, is Chiaparo. Is he one that is exited? I believe Miguel Yuste in for him. And then who else? And is Nick James out there? They announced who was coming in, but since we didn't have the traditional entrance and exit, trying to scan the field here. A lot of guys out there when they start the second half, right? At least 22. So see if, and I think Nick James has also exited, and that's where John Leisman has come in. So keep an eye on those two. We'll see if that makes any difference for Istvan Urbani's team, but this is pretty much the lineup that we saw a week ago here at Rock Chalk Park. So a couple of changes immediately, and we'll see if the home team attacks any differently. And already Yuste getting mixed up there in traffic. They're going to blow the whistle on him.
I saw it the other way.
I think he did too. Yeah, he actually got a foot on the ball. That was his possession, and a little shove there from Marcel Berry. So the Menace getting away with one. And they'll control the ball as we speak.
We're already seeing a huge shift in the tempo of the game from Col Valley FC, out of possession, but chasing all over the field, really hunting the ball when Des Moines passing it around in the middle third of the field. You see it right there, winning it back in a semi-dangerous area, somewhere that you can actually start an attack going the other direction. It's the intent that we saw against Winnipeg last week. It's why they scored after just 20 seconds into the game, and it's why that they were so dominant for the whole of, or at least I guess the first 88 minutes before they conceded the goal. And if they are going to find a way back into this game here tonight, it's going to have to be that way.
And Eric McWoods, Tucker Stevenson, and Miguel Yuste now. 3 guys up front. We'll see if they can find some offense, which has been lacking so far tonight for Col Valley FC. Just one official shot on goal tonight. And as you mentioned, Andy, maybe a little time to pick up the pace, and hopefully we've seen that early here so far. No time to be passive, that's for sure.
There's a little zip on the ball now. Every time they win possession, recycle it back, it just moves a little bit quicker. And maybe it's not creating anything immediately directly from that, but it's the intent. It's the tempo of the game, and it's going to have to be played a little bit higher if they're going to find a way back into the game. That's the last thing that Des Moines want to get into now, is a game that's a little bit quicker, a game that turns into a track race.
Long ball and going to be offsides. Just for a moment. John Leisman snuck in, but clearly a little early.
It's the idea, though. You make a run into space, and that's something that we didn't see in the first half. It's movement off of the ball. It's movement all the way across the field off of the ball, and the awareness and the vision to see that run developing as it's happening and to get that ball in behind. I know the timing wasn't quite there on that one.
Jack Freeman a little too aggressive, as he just plows right over the top of Marcel Berry. That's a dangerous play.
Yeah, anytime a player gives himself up into the air, leaves his feet, referee, again, the obligation to protect the player, and right call there. I don't think there's anything malicious. It's an attempt to let you know that I'm there and that I'm going to continue to be there for the following 40 minutes of this game, and that we're not going to allow you to play through us quite as easily as you did in the first half, and I think that's fine.
I think what we've seen so far here early in this half is exactly, Andy, what you said earlier, that you got to go after these guys. No space. You got to attack the ball all the time, and I think we're seeing that here early on.
At the end of the day, you can lose a game 1-0 like it was early on in this game, or you can lose it 4-0. It essentially counts all the same.
Still 3 points and 0 points.
It is, and I think you give yourself a much better chance of getting back into this game if you play it on your terms, if you dictate how the game is going to be played to the opponent. And so far in the second half, I know we're only about 5 minutes in, but we have seen that from Col Valley FC, and this looks very, very familiar to what we saw last week, and that has to be comforting, I think, to Istvan Urbani.
Well, as I mentioned, 2-0, man, that seems like a big deficit right now. If you can get one in real quick, man, 2-1 totally changes the game. That's exactly what we saw last week. Even though there were only 5 minutes left when it happened, man, the last 5 minutes of that thing were crazy after Col Valley dominated for 88 minutes. Maybe a chance here for a cross. Some action for Col Valley. Try to reset. That one tipped out of there momentarily. Send it back to the near side. Jack Freeman with it. A quick touch to Stevenson. Logan Lucas back to Stevenson. Maybe in attack mode here. Stevenson tries to blast one from way out. And I see you shaking your head in the corner of my eye.
I think Des Moines will be pretty happy if those are the shots that Col Valley FC settle for. It's very different to what we saw in the first half with Des Moines. They would open up space and get those opportunities. Tucker Stevenson there, just very, very speculative and probably had better options either on the near side or the far side. Just need to work it. So remain patient.
Maybe another chance here. That one, another long-range shot. That one just wide, but some action here. Logan Lucas strong with the left. but not quite on goal. Just spinning wide.
Yeah, you can feel the tide turning just a little bit, though, here early on in the second half. Maybe it is the wind. Maybe that has a little bit to play in it. Maybe the field is tilted just a little bit here to the left-hand side of the broadcast.
Can you tell on TV?
Yeah.
Does it look like it's leaning to the left?
But
that is to the north. The Earth kind of rounds out that way, right?
So I hear. But it's the intent. Once again, the fact that they have taken the onus to drive this game at Des Moines early in the second half, it's a response. Anytime you go behind a goal, you go behind 2 goals, especially when they did in such an inopportune moment just before you get into halftime down just a goal when you've got a chance to regroup. How is a young team especially going to respond to those moments? And so far, it's been very, very positive from Col Valley FC.
Omar Mohammed. We know he likes to shoot from here. Keep an eye on that left foot. He pokes it in a little bit high and across. Williams now with it on the other side, and Des Moines managing to continue with its attack. This 2-0 lead, even as Col Valley starts to put some pressure on both defensively and offensively. Maybe another run here from the Cranes as Logan Lucas across midfield into the corner. Feel like you're the coach up here, pointing them out, get to the other side. Things you can see from up here that you're hoping they can see from down there, right?
Yeah, it's just a speed of play thing, and obviously the recognition is there. You just need it to be a little bit quicker in those moments because space is going to open up, but it is going to close every single time, and you've got to find it quick enough and be able to play the ball into that space. And I think there was an opportunity there to get it wide out on the right-hand side quickly, and that opportunity kind of came and went.
Tucker Stevenson gets knocked to the ground here, maybe inadvertent from Alejandro Covarrubias, who gets a little talking to from the official. Appears that Stevenson's okay, and that's good news for Col Valley.
I think Covarrubias knew exactly what he was doing there.
Yeah, he walked into it. Certainly wasn't going after the ball, was he?
No, and that's
try to get out of the way.
It's the kind of professional foul that in certain moments in the right part of the game, and you're trying to make the game a little ugly, a little bit choppy, and without flow. That's the kind of foul that you sometimes you have to take.
Stevenson with a blast. This one missing on the left side. You like trying one from there? Would you rather a lob into the middle somewhere?
No,
let somebody get a head on it.
I think from that distance, if you've got the power and you can direct it on and you can challenge the goalkeeper, that's the kind of moment that you can cause an error from the goalkeeper. Hit it in really hard, make him deal with it, and then he spills it inside the 6, and you've got a chance.
A chance here, headed away by Williams. Col Valley, though, able to keep it in. Weissman controls it for Col Valley. And a chance now, Tucker Stevenson. For a minute, he overruns it, turns, fires, and he scores! Tucker Stevenson on the board again, and Col Valley right back in this game.
It looked like he forgot the ball the first time around, and he's able to recover, take it inside, take an extra touch, and then just like Ryusuke did in the first half from a little bit further out, is still able to get that shot off, able to lift it up over the outstretched foot of the defender and sneak it inside the near post. I thought Carlos Mercado covered his near post very, very well there, but that one was hit with such power by Tucker Stevenson that he had no opportunity to get there, and that is exactly what you need. That's not the greatest scoring chance in the world. It's not a tap in from 2 yards out. It's not a beautifully worked play. But at the end of the day, it does not matter. It doesn't matter how pretty or ugly they are. It is now 2-1, and Col Valley FC, after being outplayed for the first 45 minutes, have taken back control of this game. They have themselves a goal, and they are right back in it.
You know, we've seen Tucker take a couple of long shots in similar fashion on that left side with the right foot, try to bend it into that close corner, and he pulls it off there, and it's a 2-1 game.
Ask me again if I like him taking shots from there.
As Andy said earlier, keep firing away, Tucker, right from there, from 20 yards out. He scored the first goal in team history, scored one for us last week, and he's got another one tonight. Can't give one right back, though, here. A nice chance out, Jepsen. gives it a goal. It's just off target, but take another look here at Tucker Stevenson in the 55th minute. Just like that, it's a 2-1 game, and that's the chance I thought he had, Andy. Instead, he makes up for it and sneaks one right by Carlos Mercado.
Yeah, he's just there to clean up the cross to the back post. The defender goes up and doesn't win that ball, and that's what I was talking about in the first half, is to have that movement, to have those extra numbers forward into the attacking third of the field, someone there to recycle that ball and turn nothing into something, and that's exactly what Tucker Stevenson did there. It takes a special strike to score in that moment from that spot with a defender in that position, the goalkeeper covering his near post pretty well. It's just an absolutely perfect strike from Tucker Stevenson, and we've seen already in the second half he's so much more involved than he was in those first 45 minutes. Him and Eric McWoods a little bit more linked up, and Stevenson has played on the right, he's played on the left. He's just getting into dangerous areas now.
And a long ball across. Jack Freeman gets there, and Col Valley. Here come the Cranes once again. Miguel Yuste sends it right side. A chance now for Col Valley FC on the run. Eric McWoods with it now. Well, this team had more life when it came out, and boy, a lot more life after the goal. Jack Freeman, can he get there? Trying to keep it in play and maybe get across. And it just rolls out of play.
But you can see the impact of Miguel Yuste coming into this game in a couple of moments right there in that build-up for Col Valley FC. The first one, he gets the ball out wide to the right, does it quickly, gets it there as soon as the space opens up, and I know it didn't come to anything on that side of the field, but you force Des Moines to make those defensive rotations. They have to react to what you are doing, and then he gets on the ball in a very, very dangerous area about 22 yards out from goal, and then that's his ball out wide, and obviously Freeman wasn't able to keep it in, but you continue to challenge and you put Des Moines under pressure. You do that enough times, long enough, with that kind of quality, they will bend and they will bend, and eventually they will break.
And some more substitutions now.
Number 18 for number 3.
So Alejandro Covarrubias checks out, and in is Ming Sunday. So Sunday replaces Covarrubias. Plays at Drake, so they should know well in Iowa. Also from Coralville, Iowa, so getting to play really in his hometown. And now representing the Menace on the road in Lawrence, Kansas. Some fresh legs now in. Col Valley obviously did it at halftime. Couple of new players, and the second substitution now of this game for the Menace. We've got a good one. It's 2-1 thanks to the goal from Tucker Stevenson. Long range blast. Got this crowd on its feet. Got this team back in the game. And if he's on, nope, going to be offsides. Just a step there, Miguel Yuste.
It was close. It was very, very close. And I think if that ball is hit first time on the first look, he's onside and he's in with the chance to find Eric McWoods making the run into the back post. But it's that extra split second of indecision and waiting and having to look at it a second or third time and then hitting it. The timing is just a little bit off from Col Valley FC. But we've seen them respond in these first 15 minutes of the second half magnificently. Exactly what you want to see from a team after they fall behind one goal and then two right before halftime. And now it's time for Des Moines to make a response. They've given up a goal. They're going to have to make a decision at some point. Are they really going to commit to bunkering in defensively and trying to see this game out at 2-1, or are they going to play a little bit more expansively, open themselves up just a little bit more, and go hunt for that third goal? Because now it is one mistake from being a 2-2 game if you're Des Moines.
Omar Mohammed, here he is with that left foot. Taps it out wide, trying to turn the corner. Chips back in momentarily. Now Jack Freeman with it. He sends it out of the zone, and the Menace with another opportunity. 61st minute, a 2-1 game. Des Moines on top of Col Valley FC. Jepson sends it into the center, and there's a shot from Nico Clausen from long range. Stopped easily by Santiago Restrepo. Des Moines drummers being a little bit louder now. Been going the entire time. Great shot of them there. Not a lot of people sitting directly next to them. Probably a little loud up in that section. And that's the road team. Get some out here for the home team. So it's been such a popular section down the street, down at the Legends there. Sporting Kansas City. Got the hooligans down there in the Cauldron. One strike away, we could be tied. See if Col Valley can draw even. Get the equalizer in this one. This one just out of play. Jack Freeman will do the honors.
I think we have our answer, what Des Moines is going to try and do for these final 30 minutes or so of the game. I mean, they've got 9 outfield players back behind the ball, sitting in line of 5 all the way across the back. It's no longer a 3-man back line with the wing backs getting forward. They are true fullbacks with the 3 center backs, 4 in midfield, very compact. They're going very defensive. They'll try and hit on the counter as they're doing right now, but that's going to be about it, I would imagine, for the final 30 minutes or so, at least offensively, from Des Moines.
A little bit change of strategy here for the Menace as Omar Muhammad continues to operate against Santiago Sierra. A little one-on-one. Back to that right side. Quick cross kicked out of there by Col Valley. Eric McWoods trying to get control. And while he can't do it immediately, the whistle is blown, and he'll get a quick foul called on the Menace.
That's great work from Eric McWoods there. Just an outlet valve for Col Valley FC. Numbers back behind the ball. He is the only one 30 yards up the field, and to be able to win the foul there and just reset things from a Col Valley FC perspective, it's great work from the center forward.
Only 5 shots on goal in this entire game. 3 of them have scored.
Not a bad conversion rate.
Going to be awfully close. Tucker Stevenson times it right. And a late whistle.
I think the center referee made the offside call there because
don't see that very often, do you?
No, you don't, because the assistant referee on the far side didn't raise his flag until well after the whistle had blown. The play had stopped, which is it's very strange. I suppose if you're the closest one to make the call, but you rarely, if ever, see the center referee making that call.
So Jonathan Bolanos now checking into the game. An interesting substitution there because that's going to get Omar Muhammad out, and he's been super active in this one. Uh-oh. Ryusuke has it again. Had one touch, a little upset with himself that he let that one get away. Boy, that is his operating area.
You could see the idea, though. He had
1 or 2 little taps, and he fires it right by you.
Yeah, he receives the ball, controls it, settles it. Body goes one direction, ball going the other way, trying to get that defender leaning. He had his opportunity.
Super quick. Last touched by the Menace. Throw in coming for Ryan Kellogg. Here it is. Here was the opportunity. There's that tap. Just let it get away from him. And Daniel Kozma doing a nice job getting in front of that one.
The next touch was a shot on target. You could see it coming from the outside of the right foot. Going to try and smash it inside that near post once again.
Freeman sends it to Urbani. Trying to navigate the center of the field. And he's taken down. And so an opportunity here for Col Valley to maybe make a run. Trailing 2-1. Trailed throughout. Menace scored first and second. Both goals coming in the first half, and both from Kino Ryusuke. If you're just joining us, had a third opportunity a moment ago. His future is at the University of Louisville. This will be a throw-in for Des Moines. Ryusuke. Ball tapped away by Lavelle Palmer. But last touched by Col Valley. The feeling that this is, I think we felt last week, like sooner or later there at the end, once that first goal went in, you got to look like, man, is this thing just over yet? And you kind of get the feeling that Col Valley just has another couple of good chances in it tonight.
If they're going to find another great scoring opportunity tonight, if they're going to score again, it's going to have Miguel Ryusuke at the center of everything that they do. You could see in that little moment right there. I know it ended up being a throw-in for Des Moines. It's going back the other direction, but he's just a tidy, clean little player. Quick touches on the ball, has ideas, and I think that's something they were sorely lacking in the first half, and always looking to advance the ball forward, whether it be centrally, whether it be out wide, and that just puts the opposition under pressure. And as we talked about earlier, they will bend and they will bend, and eventually enough pressure they will break.
Approaching the final 22 minutes of this one. Tucker Stevenson scored in the 55th minute to make it a one-goal match. Menace starting to lock down a little bit more defensively than what we saw earlier in the game. A couple of substitutions, a little less on offense, a little more on D.
You can tell how not in a hurry Des Moines are to score a third goal right now. Set piece, dangerous area, 3 defenders back. Early in the game, it was just the lone man and whoever was taking the set piece from those deep areas back. A complete change, not in just strategy and tactics, but in the mentality of the team that's out there. You take into account the substitutions that have been made early on in the second half and the state of the game. The fact is now just a one-goal game. Des Moines have responded.
Nico Clausen gets one off. Strepo mishandles it momentarily, but able to get back up and get that ball sent out and in a hurry.
I like that. Quick restart. Get it back into play. Don't give them that time to get back, transition defensively, and get set.
Clock is not your friend right now. It is winding down. You're down a goal. Every second is precious right now. Need at least 1 for the equalizer, 2 for the win. And an attack mode here. Little tap inside, just off sides, and the fans won't like that call.
Not so sure about that one.
Eric McWoods.
Substitution for Col Valley.
It was awfully close.
Not so sure. We'll get another look at it here. But it looked like the defender on the far side of the field was keeping McWoods onside in that moment. And that's a little bit of tough luck. You need one of those small little breaks in a game like this where it's just as close as it is to go your way if you're going to find your way back in. And tough to tell from that angle, but again, very, very close.
So Adrian Gutierrez checking in, Logan Lucas checking out. So another substitution for Ishvan Urbani. Trying to get some fresh legs in there as the Menace continued to attack. And this shot just wide. And obviously, Col Valley wants to get the ball back in play quickly. We'll see where Restrepo's going to go. Just going to go long. Just crossing into the 72nd minute. And a takedown right in front of us. That will certainly benefit Col Valley FC.
If that's not a yellow card, nothing is.
Yellow card for Des Moines.
It's a full takedown right there.
Number 4, Brennan.
It's on Biko Brennan.
That's kind of quick and direct attacking play that you want to see, running right around a defender, making him make that decision. He's either going to make that takedown there, he's going to take the yellow card and give up a set piece in a dangerous part of the field where you're able to commit bodies forward, get numbers into the penalty area, or you're going to find yourself emergency defending, getting back with defenders running towards their own goal with a cross probably coming into the box, and that's the last thing that defenders want to do.
Welcome to the game, Adrian Gutierrez. Gets in, gets thrown to the ground, ball right in front of the net. A couple of Cranes had a chance at it. Any situation, Andy, that you would see where that would maybe even be more than a yellow? That was from behind. That was pretty flagrant.
No, I don't think so. In that moment, it's pretty clear what the intent is. He's trying to kill what is a pretty dangerous counterattack. I don't think there's any kind of maliciousness, and that's always the word that I come back to. Is it malicious? Is he intentionally trying to injure a player? And I don't think it was in that moment. It's an open field takedown, but it's something that 100 times out of 100 has to be called a yellow card if the referee is doing his job.
So a very hot and tired Eric McWoods will get a breather, and Richard Sabanda will take over up front now for Col Valley FC. And you can see McWoods there leaving. It's a hot night, folks. 70 minutes end to end, as fast as this game has been. Going to take a toll on you. And Sabanda now with some fresh legs hopefully can give Col Valley a little bit of a jump start here. Needing a goal to get this thing tied.
And it's even tougher for a center forward playing up top all by himself, going against 2 and 3 center backs all night. It's just not just the distance covered and how hard he's run, but it's the physical duels going one-on-1, one-on-two with center backs hanging all over your back that's really going to take it out of you on a night like this.
Let's see, how many miles does a
few.
guy like that run tonight?
Yeah,
I mean,
he gets a few.
I'm sure they do the math and check it out sometimes.
Yeah, the central midfielders are obviously going to be the guys that cover the most ground in a game, especially one that's back and forth end to end like this. But a guy like McWoods, it is those duels and those physical collisions that are going to take it out of him most.
Another run here off the left foot of Jack Freeman. Everybody on side, but that one a little too far ahead. Again, we've seen that happen several times going this direction, straight downwind. It's just hard to control. And you spend the first half, 45 minutes, kicking it extra hard to get a guy make a run, and then you switch it around, you feel like you just tap it, the ball is gone. So Carlos Mercado taking his time. His precious seconds tick away, about 15 and a half left, plus maybe another minute or two. And Gutierrez, Stevenson, see if those two can operate together. Ryusuke makes a run at it, has it tapped away, now to Urbanye. Quite a bit more possession time here in the second half from Col Valley. Hasn't equated in too many shots on goal, but the pressure has been ratcheted up just a little bit. Gutierrez taps it into the middle. Couldn't find Sabanda, just out of his reach. And don't let that guy get it. Every time Kino Ryusuke is near the ball, I get a little nervous.
He's a goal scorer. He's a creative player, but you can see it right there. He puts in that defensive work as well, putting in a shift at center forward. That is the first line of defense. And if you can take the extra 5-10 seconds that it takes to recycle, recirculate, start that attack going forward again for Col Valley FC, then he has done his job.
Leisman couldn't control it. Back comes Des Moines. Menace never seemed like they were in a hurry in the first half, but man, that worked out to 2 goals. Just they're in such control. They operate so quickly that they make it look so easy. And here's a long ball ahead to Marcel Berry. That one's out of play. So Col Valley now, final 15 minutes. See if the Cranes can put together a charge here and avoid their first home loss in franchise history after a 2-0 weekend last week against Winnipeg. As it stands right now, these look like two of the top teams in the Heartland Division. Super early, obviously, but I can see this becoming a rivalry as that one is kicked out of bounds. Palmer fires it off of a teammate. That was Marcel Berry, or might have been Sunday. Either way, Col Valley with the ball. But I can see this becoming something that these teams look forward to. You've got fans from up north that have made the trip, and this has gotten a little bit chippy at times. Stevenson sending a long one.
Goalkeeper a little bit off his line.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Maybe not as far as required for an opportunity like that.
Hard to tell maybe from where Stevenson was standing for you and I. He was a few steps forward. But the last time we questioned his tactics, he put the tally on the board.
Last time we questioned it, it wasn't from the center circle either.
That's true. We talk about the heat tonight and maybe starting to take effect. Marcel Berry, he's got some cramping. So a small delay here.
It's always the Cavs that go first.
And really not surprising on this day. I don't know how you stay hydrated well enough. But there have already been several substitutions on both times in this game, trying to keep people fresh, and just giving both teams a chance to go over and grab some water.
Probably not the worst thing right now. It's going to be a frantic final 12 or 13 minutes to this game. Col Valley FC really going to start committing numbers forward and applying as much pressure as they possibly can to Des Moines, and that's going to put Des Moines under a lot of mental stress. Forget the physical and everything that we're already seeing. The cramps are beginning 79 minutes into this game. The weather and all that, the mental stress that Des Moines is going to find themselves under, just to kind of reset, go over, have a quick chat with the head coach, get those final instructions for the final period of this game as Des Moines try and see it out.
And so Peter Pearson checking into the game, and checking out there will be, well, as we just mentioned, he was just taking a quick break, but maybe some good news now is another fresh body in for the Menace.
And to Col Valley FC's credit tonight, they have not slowed as the game has gone on. The weather and the minutes played tonight, they appear to have only gotten stronger. And I know part of that is due to the way that Des Moines have set out during the second half. But every indication from Col Valley FC in the second half tonight, they have been close to their best. We can say that last week, those first 20 or 30 minutes against Winnipeg, probably about as good as a team can look early on in the season. And we've seen them with every minute that has passed tonight get a little bit closer to that. So again, even with the 2-1 deficit right now, even if it ends 2-1, a lot of encouraging signs from this young team.
So Marcel Berry done, Peter Pearson replacing him. Rolling up now on minute number 80 complete. Sure we'll have at least a couple more added, and that one, if it's onside, nope, going to be offsides, and that was, see it from here, John Leisman trying to sneak around that backside, but that's the side the official's on over there.
We've got a pretty good view of that
yeah.
one from right there, and I think it was pretty close. There was a defender here on this near side who was well out of line with the rest of the defenders. He looked to be about 2 or 3 yards behind everyone else. The shape not great from Des Moines in that moment, and I thought from here at least that Leisman had timed his run and managed to stay onside. So again, unlucky for Col Valley FC.
And another man down near the middle of the field on the Menace, so the cramps now starting to take hold. This time it's Spico Brennan, and he just went down and holding the leg. It's nice now, but when this game started, it was a much different weather forecast out here.
Yeah, Des Moines players not really going to do a ton to endear themselves to the
No,
locals.
they're not.
If this is how the final few minutes of the game, and of course cramps are going to be an issue, and it looks like Lavelle Palmer is signaling that there's going to be a substitution that's needed to be made here. Totally fine with that. If you've got guys that are going down and you're making subs, it's pretty clear you're not out there just trying to waste time and stop the game and get it over as quickly as you can.
Now helping a guy off like this, that might be milking it a little bit, right? But Lavelle's, he's a veteran. He knows how this works. So a substitution as well for Col Valley as Lucas Bartlett comes in for Santiago Sierra.
Substitution for Des Moines. Number 5 for number 14. Correction, number 4.
So Biko Brennan is out and Johnny Fenwick checks in. Fenwick from Newcastle upon Tyne, England. Gotta love those English names. You're getting ready to make another trip over there, right? You've done it before, hung out with the hooligans, so to speak, and you're going to be a soccer hooligan again here in the next year, right?
Yeah, looking forward to another good trip over, that's for sure.
Col Valley still down by a goal. There is still time. At least 7.5 minutes remaining, and we're going to have at least a couple of minutes, I'm sure, added on to that. Problem is, Andy, Col Valley just hasn't had many chances here in the last 10 minutes. After that goal, we saw the rush of adrenaline for about 10 or 15 minutes, from about that 55-minute mark to maybe the 65-70, but a really nice job from Des Moines to kind of settle things down since then. It's been a much different pace.
Yeah, they've kind of reset their mentality, and they've gotten numbers back behind the ball, and they've been pretty disciplined, pretty organized. There's been a couple moments where they've fallen out of shape, and it felt like Col Valley FC was going to catch them and slip somebody in behind, but they've done a good job of keeping pretty much everything in front of them, and it is a bit of a shortcoming for Col Valley FC not making probably as many runs into that space as they should be, but with the numbers back from Des Moines at this point of the game, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and that's why I highlighted Miguel Yuste earlier. As soon as he came into the game and had an immediate impact, that's the type of player that you need on the ball. You know, Tucker Stevenson will thrive from a player like Miguel Yuste getting on the ball in those dangerous areas.
Adrian Gutierrez has shown a little fight here as well. He's fresh in the second half. Two-man game a moment ago with Goody and Yuste. But it's just not smooth ball handling here recently, and you can tell me there's some pressure on right now. Col Valley trying to amp it up just a little bit. When you're pressing a little bit, which you got to do here, sometimes it's not quite as pretty. And I look there at head coach Ishvan Urbani trying to figure something out here in the final 5. Freeman trying to keep it in. As you mentioned earlier, boy, the Des Moines really packing it in down there. There's just no space, is there? I mean, there's nowhere to go with the ball right now.
No, there's absolutely not, and it's not just that they've got numbers back and they've decided we're going all in defensively, but they're reacting very, very well, and they're moving in unison. That's something that's so important. You can press and you can harry other teams, but if it's just one guy going out there, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to cause trouble. You're just going to open yourselves up. But there's been the unison movement. One guy presses, somebody else fills the space that he vacates, and somebody fills that space. It's just really, really disciplined and organized from Des Moines defensively, and just like we talked about with Col Valley FC last week, defensively so impressive.
So back at it, here's Yuste. Tucker Stevenson operating now right side. Back into the middle, Urbani going to try to set things up. See if Col Valley starts to attack. A very long shot try, well off the mark from Daniel Kozma. Penetrating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 defenders, and I'm not counting the goalkeeper. That's the problem here. The only guy that's not packing it in really right now is Kino Ryusuke, and well, he's just waiting for one chance to run the other way and tap in the game winner, right?
There's the switch.
That's
been
what you've
waiting
been calling for quite some time. Freeman to Stevenson. A little frustration here. Can't penetrate. You want it to switch sides yet again. Leisman back to Gutierrez. There's room out there on the right side. Gutierrez, though, in the middle. He keeps possession of it.
The switches are there right now. Not only is it compact from Des Moines, but it's very narrow as well. And so you're finding all that space out on the wings. And I think you've got to make the most of it. At least pull somebody out wide into space, force them to defend one-on-one, and give the guys in the middle a little bit of time to get into the box.
And that one tipped away, and here comes Ryusuke. He might just take this without waiting for any help. Has it taken away from behind. You got to maintain possession. Tucker Stevenson still with a little juice in those legs after 87 minutes.
A lot of
tap
juice.
Forward, had a chance. Sabanda just breaking away. It appeared that he was onside. Exact situation we had 7 days ago, a 2-1 game in the last 5 minutes. You can feel the tension when Col Valley gets an opportunity. We've had a couple here the last minute or two. Only 6 shots on goal, but this has been an exciting game. Not a lot of chances, but it's been close. And man, Col Valley would love to add one more late. Onside, yes, big bounce. That one off the turf, did not get the big bounce. John Leisman was there, but the save by Carlos Mercado. Sometimes you get those big ones, but those are mostly on the turf. Maybe in Topeka later this weekend, but probably not tonight. Although I'll say this, the ground, we haven't had rain here in quite some time. I know they water this field a lot, but the ground's a little harder maybe than normal. It's been good for my tee shots. They go a little bit farther. A little more roll out there in the rough. But this field has held up pretty good. 2 games now in 8 days. 95-degree heat for most of it. 90 seconds remaining, plus, what do you think, another 2, maybe 3?
We've had quite a few substitutions. We've had Des Moines stop the game a couple times for injuries. I'd say there's got to be 3, maybe 4 sounds about right to me. But
right.
You know,
every minute would help at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not something that you always see refs keep a great keep on time that should be added on. It feels like 2 or 3 is kind of the typical number that they always sort of default to, and you'd like to see that, I think, adhered to, that rule of keeping the time throughout the entire half. You know, stick to it a little bit more.
Final 45 of regulation. Keep an eye on down there at the on the benches to see what they're going to add. No whistle. Nope. Finally get the late whistle as a spinning Miguel Yuste goes down. And Col Valley going to have to get that ball started from the right spot. A little bit of a dangerous play there as Jeremy Romero. A little extra kick.
A little rake of the cleats right across the Achilles of Miguel Yuste.
Fighting for position, no whistle there, and maybe a little inadvertent fall there. Trying to force the issue. We're going to actually get 5 minutes added back on. So good news for Col Valley, actually.
Feels right.
Yeah.
And it's gonna give a little bit a shot of encouragement, I think, to Col Valley FC to look over, see that 5 minutes, and know that all the hard work that they put in this second half, where they have been in control of this game, and they've been the team on the front foot, they've got a little bit more time. It's going to be interesting to see how Des Moines respond to that, the cramping and everything that they've already gone under, and the amount of times that they've been pushed back deep inside their own half.
See if there's any life left here for Col Valley. If that'll get out of bounds, which it didn't. possible corner kick. Feel like it's been forever since we've seen one of those. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys lined up along the back line, and 1, 2, 3, 4 lined up in front of them. Maybe a push here. Ishba encouraging his team. Col Valley finally in close, and a shot just wide. John Leisman.
You like the directness, how quick he's trying to get on the defender and run into the box and have that shot from a tight angle. I think he had a couple guys making runs, one at the near post, one at the far post. Probably the best play at that moment, cut it back across and try and find somebody for the tap in. But at that moment, you've done all the hard work at that point. I can understand wanting to have wanting to take the shot for yourself there.
This will be an inbound for Des Moines, continuing to lead 2-1, and get a little chippy over there. Leisman running right over the top of Johnny Fenwick. Bonnie keeping an eye on his team. I think he's going to like the way his squad played in the second half. Kind of mentioned, Andy, the slow start. Took about 20, 25 minutes to really get engaged in this game. We'll see if there's 1 or 2 last runs here. Couple of minutes left, most likely, but got to keep possession of that ball. Maybe this is the chance. Gutierrez, it's tipped away. You stay trying to get there. Col Valley keeps it in. Urbani tapping it out wide. Just no space anywhere.
It's going to take a couple of those long cross-field switches, I think, just to open anything up and force some of those defensive rotations. And as we've seen for the majority of tonight, Col Valley FC either not recognizing them or just not willing to hit them all the way across the field.
Freeman can't get a touch on it. It's knocked out of bounds.
Substitution for Des Moines.
And a very late substitution here. As Rashid
Number 17 for number 20.
Alarape is going to enter the game. He won't be in there long. This game will be over very shortly. Maybe 60 to 90 seconds remaining. Couple of more opportunities possibly for Col Valley, and there's finally some room. Gutierrez calling for it in front of us. And the crane's heading the wrong direction. Here's the cross. Finally, that one, though, headed out of there by Brandon Fricky. Crane's trying to keep it in. I think they did. Another cross. That one tapped out of play, but a corner kick coming.
Really good individual work there on the far side by Leisman to get that first ball, and that's a dangerous ball into the to the top of the 6-yard box. You force the defender to come out and deal with it, and then keep it in with the next try, win the corner kick.
Tucker Stevenson, he'll put it in play, and he'll send it in the middle. Can someone get a head on it? No, loose ball in front, and it's cleared out by Des Moines. Momentarily, battle for the ball. Miguel Yuste trying to come up with it. He's taken down, and a whistle, and another opportunity coming for Col Valley. Might be the last one, Andy, of the night.
And Istvan Urbani gives Santiago Restrepo again for the second straight set piece here. Both arms pointing forward, get up there, get into the penalty area, one more body. It's got to be a floating ball into the box, probably up to the back post. Hope that somebody knocks it down, and then it falls to someone in space and just slam it home. Again, as we said earlier, it does not have to be pretty at this point. Create a chance however you must.
Miguel Yuste will get it in play. Got to be a dream for a goalie in this situation for Santiago Restrepo. 10 guys ready to roll for Col Valley in the center. That one bending and knocked out of there by Mercado. Boy, that had some pace on it too. Not much time left. Maybe a few seconds added for the other substitution by Des Moines. Col Valley, another one in the center, trying to get ahead on it. That one's tapped away, and that will do it. Col Valley comes up just shy. Final score 2-1. Boy, an exciting final five. A couple of chances for the home team, but Ishvan Urbani's team falls to 2-2-1 on the year, and Des Moines goes on the road, stays unbeaten, and Andy, more importantly, picks up all 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. But great fight tonight, I thought, from Col Valley FC. Even in the first half, when they went a goal down, even right before halftime, when they went 2 goals down, they responded both times and they found themselves just a little bit more. It's still a very, very young team that's finding its identity, and I think that that's something that gets overlooked a lot in soccer, is figuring out who you are, the style that you want to play, and not just doing it for one night, not just doing it for one weekend, and not just doing it against one specific opponent, but being able to translate that against different teams of better quality, of different styles. And I think that's ultimately what we saw undo Col Valley FC tonight. It was that different system, the 3-man back line for Des Moines, that gave them just a little bit of trouble early on. And really, even when Col Valley FC came in control of the game, weren't able to create the quality or the quantity of chances during the second half that they were able to do against Winnipeg. So just learning how to respond and deal with those different situations. There's a lot of encouraging signs from this young team tonight.
Take a timeout. When we come back, time for our Pods Discount Carpets final match report. Final score from Rock Chalk Park. Des Moines wins it 2-1.
As parents, nothing matters more than keeping our little ones healthy and safe. At Lawrence Memorial Hospital, we feel the same way. That's why we partner with Safe Kids Douglas County to provide free car seat safety inspections, because we know it's the little things that matter most. As your partner for lifelong health, we care for and about you and your family, encouraging safe and healthy decisions today and for a lifetime. Keep your family on the road to a healthy future at lmh.org.
At Crown, we support the community and our Jayhawks. So we're very excited to help them find the perfect car. Stop by today and we'll find the perfect car for you. Crown Automotive, 3400 South Iowa, Lawrence.
Meet Doctors Mark Scarborough and Tapas Ghosh. You may know them as 2 expert physicians from Lawrence Memorial Hospital. But to these promising young soccer stars, they're simply Coach. At LMH, our physicians serve as your partners for lifelong health. They care for and about you, encouraging healthy habits and good decisions for a lifetime. Our team is here to help you achieve your life goals and win the game. A healthy future starts at lmh.org/partner.
Back at Rock Chalk Park, home game number 3 of the season for Col Valley FC in the books, and for the first time this year, home team not winners at home. Col Valley falling to the Des Moines Menace, a score of 2-1. Let's take a look now at those Pods Discount Carpets final match report, and again the numbers awfully close. And the final score now makes more sense to me, Andy, than it did at halftime, because it was awfully close and really just an inch or two here or there. And this could have been a draw walking out of this building. But you look at those numbers, and 2-1 maybe is what this game should have been.
Yeah, you know, an inch or two here being the difference in this game, but also a player of the highest quality in Kino Ryusuke. He showed himself to be the best player on the field over the whole of 90 minutes in this game, and especially those first 45 when he found the back of the net twice, created a chance and took it all for himself, and then popped up in that right moment just before halftime, scoring what turns out to be the game-winning goal. It's great to be 1-0 ahead, but to give yourself that little bit of cushion and to do so right before halftime, demoralizing for the other team. This was just a very, very smart and mature Des Moines team that we saw Col Valley FC come up against tonight, and there is there's nothing wrong with falling to defeat against a team of this quality and this experience as well, and this kind of international flavor. So credit to Des Moines, the way that they've melded all of these pieces together so early in the season, and they look like, at least in the Central and the Heartland division, they look like the class of the league.
The shots on goal, goal percentage, 50% for both sides. You don't say that number very often, but only 6 total shots in this game, 7 total corner kicks. It did get chippy at times, 16 fouls. Goalie's not super active tonight, really, until Santiago Restrepo had to run about 80 yards to get set up for that final play. But really, in the end, a chance for Col Valley FC. At halftime, we worried about that second goal from Kino Ryusuke, and it turns out, Andy, that goal was the difference.
Yeah, and you asked me about 5 minutes or so before, would you be happy getting to halftime with this 1-0 deficit? And I would have bit your hand off to take it at that moment, and I know that as soon as they got into halftime, Istvan Urbani would have done exactly the same to have taken that goal away and been just one down. I think we would have seen the second half play out very, very differently. We would have seen a much more adventurous and expansive Des Moines team, and I think that would have given Col Valley FC just those little bit of spaces, those opportunities to create something a little bit more, a little bit higher quality chance that we just didn't see when Des Moines committed to packing things in defensively. So there's a lot of encouraging signs, and I think Miguel Yuste tonight, in his 45 minutes on the field, showed himself to be a player that needs to be on the field at any point when he is healthy, when he is fit, when he's got the legs to do so, because as soon as he came in, you could see the quality and how everything flowed through Miguel Yuste.
Let's take another timeout. When we'll come back, we'll wrap things up from Rock Chalk Park. Final score tonight, Des Moines beats Col Valley FC 2-1.
Your life is busy enough. I'll make taking care of your eyes easy.
Dr. Kevin Lenahan wants to make it convenient to receive the best eye care and eyewear anywhere. That's why the Spectacle has locations in Lawrence, Tonnanoxie, and Topeka. The highest quality eye care is what Dr. Lenahan and his staff provide. We work with most insurance plans and are open evenings and Saturdays for your convenience.
Let us give you the look you're looking for.
Dr. Kevin Lenahan and the Spectacle, providing you with the best eye care and eyewear anywhere.
You deserve the freedom to choose the healthcare providers you prefer. If you're tired of insurance companies making those decisions for you, come by Sigler Pharmacy today and find out how to get the care you want at a price you can afford. With 2 great locations at 6 and Folks Road and West 18th Street. Come and see us at Sigler Pharmacies today to find out how much you could be saving. Sigler Pharmacy, watching out for your health and your wallet.
The Des Moines Menace go on the road and pick up 3 points against Col Valley FC in Lawrence, Kansas at Rock Chalk Park. And man, it happened fast. Let's take a look at the highlights from this one. And we talked about Kino Ryusuke early, the Premier Development League Player of the Week. And we wanted to give him the award 2 weeks in a row very quickly before it even got to halftime. Col Valley, a couple of chances early, not many, but then this is what happened. Number 24, Andy, just flat took over.
It's individual brilliance right there. The vision to create that chance, the ability to finish it. A very, very special player at this level.
You watch the touch, and that's the touch with the right foot, then the blast with the right foot. He scored early, and then that got him on the board, but that's not the one that really hurt him. This is the one that really hurt Col Valley. Cranes falling behind 2-0. Literally in extra time in the first half.
And not just the fact that they fall behind 2-0 just before halftime, but the way that those previous 10 or 15 minutes had played out. They had finally found their footing. They were beginning to get up to speed, I think, on level playing field with Des Moines, and to then give it up just before halftime, demoralizing, and turns out to be the difference in the game.
So Col Valley falling to 2-2-1 on the season. Meanwhile, Des Moines improving to 3-0. Tucker Stevenson trying to keep his team in it. We saw it last week. And a blast here in the 55th minute, and all of a sudden, we're thinking, hey, Col Valley's got a chance. And that was the case very, very late, because after this goal, for about 10 minutes, Cranes amped it up, and then for about the final 10, we saw that same intensity.
Yeah, it was very impressive, though, the way that Des Moines responded to giving up that goal, realizing that they were in a dogfight for the final 30 minutes in this game, and they were really going to have to work to see it out, and to pack it in defensively the way that they did, I think is very impressive. And this is the team that over the course of an entire season going to be right there at the top.
Col Valley FC back in action against Chicago coming up on Sunday over in Topeka. There's a shot, the man of the match. It's Kino Ryusuke. I'd like to thank everyone who made tonight's telecast possible. Taylor Dietz, he's our engineer in charge.